Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And this is going to be the next part of our travel app series. So, in the previous video, we upgraded our AGP version, and this video is more about cleaning up the stuff and making the app basically work in a way which it is supposed to work. So for example, so now we have this. Let's say we have something like this. Now let me just close the application. So now when I run the iOS version, you will see that we get some sort of error that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I can't understand what's going on, right? That's the problem. And even with the other problems that we had, for example, where maybe the payment is not successfully done, or like maybe there is any sort of error, those errors were not like properly shown, or like we were just passing some hard coded value. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So if I go to our common main section in that UI part, let's say if you go to the booking list screen, you can see this error says no booking found if it's empty. But in case of error, sorry, not here, we need to get over here, source, common main, features, and booking. Let's say go for booking. Right now, if you go to the booking, you can see in error I am just passing something as a hard coded error message, not with something that might be coming from the server, or like maybe something that's basically contains some sort of more information for us. So we need to fix that the error should come from from the server, or maybe from our domain or data section, and we should be able to parse that to into proper you know codes. So that's one thing, right? Second thing is, even with this one, you can also see we have something like this. We are just showing it, and also even in the UI, we are not showing anything. We are just creating. For some cases, we can definitely show it as a text, but for some cases, we want a proper retry mechanism and all for that. So we need to work on something similar to that. So basically, to get that done, or to do that, what we need to do is we go over here into our use cases. Now, if you go to any of the use case that we have, like you can get over here into this one, you will see that this execute functionality that we have is returning booking availability rather than returning a proper resultant object that have a success and error. And basically for error, it should have some sort of response for that, which we are not passing. So we need to make sure to get a resultant rather than this nullable object, so that we can incorporate the error message that comes from the server into this, and this use case is basically responsible to give that to us, right? So how do we do that? Well, the simple idea is to basically wrap these resultants with errors, right? So this is done. You can say, oops, and then you can pass something like this into that. In case of this, you can define that error, exception, or null. Okay, so now we are passing something like this instead of having proper results, and we are going to do the same for all the other use cases that we have, like this. So now all these use cases are done, right? They are pretty much what we want to do here. And now what we need to do is that we need to handle it. If we go to our view models now, you will see that there will be plenty of issues. So we need to fix them as well. Okay. Now we go to our presentation session inside these view models that we have. First of this one, you can see now this is basically complaining that this booking is basically a use case. And instead, what we can do is that you can say bookings dot is sucks failure, is failure, like this. You get this. else you have bookings dot get or null, or you can do something like this. Okay, that's one. Then we get over here into this one. This is again similar. So you can just say is failure. Fine. Then you can just use get. Okay. Same goes for this one. So you have this thing done. We go to the detail view model. This one is complaining as expected. Get or null. Why is this print lane? I just don't need this. Remove it. Listing. Go to the view model. Listing dot get or null. Instead, what you can say if listing is failure, you get that, else you do something like this, right? Okay, register, sign in view model. I think everything is already handled it the way they should be handled, and same is for this one as well. Now the problem is that there are some issues that you can basically create or like handle it by using all these hard coded values, but there could be some issues that comes from server. So like you would want the server to return a proper error message to you, and then you should be able to handle that, right? So now what I'm going to do is that I am going to add one more response kind of thing into the server, so like basically to handle the uh, error responses that comes from the server. So if we go over here into the data section, source, common main, and now over here inside these models, I create one Kotlin class and call that API error DTO. Okay, that is going to be a data class for me, and it should contain two things. One is the wall error as a string. Second one is wall details, that is going to be list of strings and set to null. So these are the values that we should have. Okay, now inside this domain section, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create seal class. So you can create a seal class and call that app errors. Okay, this app error is going to be like I said, it's going to be a seal class. So you can just call that this and call that seal class app error, and it's basically extending the exception. And now inside that, you can define your errors or error messages. So I have these error messages that I've created like this. So these are like authorized sessions, session expired. For 401, we have forbidden. For 404, we have not found. Then we basically conflicts already exist, bad request, and all these kind of things that we have, right? If you have like string resources, you can always use as a string resource rather than passing a string into this. So it's totally up to you, you know. And what else can we do here? So it's going to be function throwable dot to readable message, something like this. So basically when we return, we basically you just change it to the error message. We get that error message from there and just basically pass it to this. So basically that's something we did. Now if we go over here into our cache, sorry, it's remote data source over here. Now what we are gonna do is that we have this body function, which is basically something like this. This is basically an inline function for body. What we can do is that inside this, let's just say we create one function. Let's call that function private suspend function, and it's going to be inline function, and we reify t. http response dot body. Okay, we'll call that http response body or error, right? And then in return we basically get a T for this. Now inside that you can just say if the status code is like between 200 to 299, what you can do is that you can just return the body. Else what you can do is that you can define like when, and status of value is something like this. For example, you have 400, 401, 403, 404, and then if you have 409, you can say 409. That goes for something as conflict. And then for 500, it should not be 500, it should be between 500 to 599. So any number between that, and it should be something like this. Okay, so now you have something like this. Now what more you can do, that you can say wall error message. So what we are trying to do now is to basically get some sort of information from the server, so that basically if there is any error message that you can get, and then instead of using this, we can do is we can say body of API error DTOs. So right, previously we tried to get something from there, and now we will be getting an error, or trying to get an error from there. Okay, so like if there is something like that, then we can just use something as app error dot bad request. Now inside that we'll pass that error message or bad requests like this. Okay, same goes for this one. We go this for exception, we go this for not found. You just change update our the app errors to this, like this. Now we have this body or error, and now instead of accessing this body, we will be using body dot error, body dot error, body or 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 error. Okay, and rather than doing this, we want to add one more catch here, that is going to be x app error, like this, and then you pass like this. Okay, for IO exception, let's say you have an IO exception like this, you can just say results dot failure, and then inside that you can say app error dot network error. Okay, now we get this. Lastly, if you have a normal exception, you can just say an unknown message like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the same mechanism for all of our catch try catch blocks, so that it returns those errors messages to us like this. Okay, so now the error messages are there, and now we get over here into these values that we have. So now you can just say booking dot exception dot null, and then you get that message from there, something like this. Okay, so change that in this one as well. These error messages are not more required. Booking dot exception dot null, and then we create something like this. Same goes for this payment intent dot exception dot null. We get this. For this one we have listing dot exception. What is this? Sorry, this is something else. It's related to local error. So I was just went ahead, and now this one for availability. This one again local error. What else do we have? I think This is for this one as well. So now like basically all the error will now first try to load some error from the server if there is any, like this. If not, then we'll be falling back to the hard coded error. These are already like trying to get error message from the failure, so we are, I think we are good on that part. View model, this one, yeah, all the other one are basically pretty fine. Now what we need to do is that we need to make sure to uh update the flows, or like maybe show some sort of error messages or error dialogue to the user, so that user can um, get proper some like screens or error messages to on the app. So now if we go over here into the common main compose app, this one common main, yeah, over here inside this Kotlin, let's start it one by one. Let's say if we go over here into our login screen, now this login screen that we have, we are actually showing it as the error message that we are showing is now basically we are showing it as an error message, just something like this. Instead, what you can do is that you can create a bottom sheet error message for this. You can say composable and call it function error message bottom sheet dialog. Okay. And now we have something like this on dismiss. Perhaps you can also call that, and you can say on button click. And also you can also define that button text as string, like this. Okay. Now you have a column that basically shows a text message to do. I believe the column have paddings horizontally fine, and then you have a 16 dp height. On click on, you can say on button click, text should also come from button text. So you have something like this, and let's call that something as, let's call this, okay. Now we do that, try building it, hopefully we get some sort of error dialog. Okay. Now this is important for loading auth token. You can say if token dot is failure, you update the state to an error state, else you update it to this one. Now for this, you don't have an error message. UI state, what do we have in app? UI state have a old loading and auth token. So I think we don't have that. So we can just set that auth token to null for this case. And then over here, you can say get or null, like this. Okay. Now we go back to the login screen where we were trying to re-preview. Oh my God. Result. The string for this, and we also update that. Okay, I think that is fine. Okay, now we are good there. Okay, I think we are good now. Now at least it should work. Try once again. Okay, expected result string, actual result string. Okay, I think made a mistake. No. Go to implementation. This is fine. Go to implementation. This is for cache repository implementation. Go to implementation for this one. Okay, I think that could be the problem. From this one, it's fine. For the in memory that we have might be causing the problem. So that's why if we go over here into our cache in memory, yes, it's like this. Let's see. Expected result string, actual result string. Just don't understand what's going on here. Ah, okay. Now it should be. Oh, no, no, we are not building. Sorry. We are going to login screen. We were trying to create a error screen for us. Okay, so now we have something like this. Just add one more thing. I think we can add perhaps button text message and description as a string. So like we title with description like this, and this one should say failed to sign in, something like this. Now we try this, update that, and in the error section over here we create one more text with description with all these defined values. You can also create a style and create as material theme dot typography dot title medium. I think that should be fine for us. Like this. Color scheme wise, do we have the color scheme perhaps on surface or maybe on primary? Perfectly fine. Like this. And we do the same thing for the description as well. Like this. And for this one we can say material theme dot color scheme dot primary. Okay. Or you can use surface, I believe, for this. Yeah, that should be fine. We don't need this colors for this. That should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So now we have this error dialog, a generic error dialog where you can pass some sort of basic information and use that to draw over your system. And now over here, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create this bottom sheet. So you can say wall bottom sheet state is equals to, no, it's not like that. It's going to be remember modal bottom sheet state, and you can also say as this is a material property for this. Then you can say wall show error sheet as this. You don't have the error message, we don't care about that. And now over here, uh where is my error message section where we are showing this? This is my error section. Now inside that, instead of creating a text view like this, what you can do is that you go to the bottom section of this whole structure. Now inside that you create something like this. On button click it should be view model dot remove error message from this, and I'll tell you why. So basically over here you can say error message set to null, so that the login basically work as expected. And we also need to make sure bottom sheet modal. So now we will be using this modal bottom sheet for this case, and we'll add this inside that modal. It also requires some values. For example, it requires the state for this. Now you can say sorry, it should be sheet state is equals to bottom sheet state for this. Then we have on dismiss request, we change that values to this, and then stuff like that. Okay, and I think we can also get rid of this one. We don't need this. Okay, so now we will be doing is something like this. When you get some sort of error message that goes into the dialog and on all that. Now let me just try and like uninstall the app. We'll try to log in with a wrong credential and see if we get a proper message from server. So try to run the code now. Okay, we are here. Try a random number customer like this. No, try. You can see I got an error message saying failed to sign in. Logins fail with status code, and there's basically no internet connection is saying, but it should not be saying that instead. Let me see why. We go first to the remote data source section like this, and we are going for login. So this is my sign in request. I'm adding it over here to see what do we get, for this. So we'll change that and add or connect that to the debugger. Perfect. Now try running it. So when I click on that, wow, when I click on that, nothing happens. Why? Try once again. When I click on that, we get over here, which is good. Then we get nothing happens. Why? Let me just add it to all of them. Wait, retry, sign in. We got the error message, and now instead, what we got is that it failed to connect to this, which is fine. So, yes, this is the system was returning a correct error. Sorry, that was my bad. And now let's just retry this time. Okay, retry, sign in, and now when I try this time, we got on the app error, which is good. We got an unauthorized error message, which means now login failed with status code unauthorized. Message says unauthorized. Okay, this is not how I want. I want the, error message to be stable and saying, what does it says? Login failed with status code. Login failed with status code. So, okay, sorry. Basically, this was my problem. Like I was not properly handling this. So instead, what you can do is that you can say um, result.failure user repository implementation. You can say response dot exception or null. It's definitely going to be an exception for this case. So that's for this one. Same goes for this one. We're not passing any sort of exception for the login, and also that we can give a proper error response to this. Now we'll try once again. Okay, customer one, and then we will PASSWRD123. When I click sign in, you can now this time say fail to sign in, and it says unauthorized, which means now this was basically working. When I call that like this, sign in successfully signed in, and the rest of the stuff is working fine. So basically, okay, so now like I said, like the login flow works fine. We have a proper error message when there is like any sort of error that we receive, and we have this handling for this and as well. And then this login screen should not have this one, as you know. We can get rid of this one. We don't need this. Also, for this error message dialog, we should not be using it here. Instead, it should go to the widgets. Okay, so over here, this create a new Kotlin class or file, call that error message dialog, and we create this one. Now inside this error message, you can just log it, call it. Okay, and then you can do the similar thing for sign up screen as well, because we have pretty much similar implementation. Like UI state dot value like this, and then get you have to get this from the top like this. You can add the experimental into this, and we now need to have this functionality as well, because for sign up we need pretty much similar implementation. Okay, sorry, it was now over here. You can just update that value to null. So the sign up screen is now done as well. It will be showing you proper error message, and it says register instead of sign up. And you can do it for the rest of the screens as well. For example, in case of listing, if you have an error during loading, you can always show a proper error message to this. And even based on the error message that you receive, you can handle different kind of cases. For example, if let's say over here in this case, it happens a lot of time where basically um, what do we say, your token expired. So like in case of token expire, we want the user to relog in, right? And this was one of the blocker for us to handle. Now what we can do is that you can just create wall bottom sheet is equals to something like this. No, we don't want this to be skipped partially. We want this to be false. Bottom sheet state. Okay. And in case of error, we are showing this error message like this. We don't need this. Instead, in the scaffold section, you can say UI state dot value dot error message. And if it's something like that, you can say fail to load listings. Okay. And now over here, you can say IT retry. Instead of that, you can say handle error like this. Okay, so now if you're handling the error like this, you can do is go over here, go to your view model. Now inside that, you can say you're not going to handle it this way. We will be doing a slight changes into this implementation right now that we have. For example, if we go over here into the UI state for this, the error message is not going to be error message. Instead, it is going to be uh, app error this time. Okay, now this app error, when we have it as this. What we will be doing is that in the view model, it will complain about all this. So, okay, so now instead of basically passing an error message, what you can do, you can get something like this. And over here, we will be casting it as app error, which will basically eventually show something like this. Okay. And you will do the same thing in this case as well. And, or you can say something as app error dot unknown in this case, because we don't know what's going to be. Okay. So now we have something like this. Okay. We have the app error that's available. And now over here in the handle error case, let's say if the error case is, you can say when error, you can say UI state dot error message. So now let's say if you have a, let's say network error, in that case, you can just say load travel listing, pretty fine. Perhaps for server error and unknown, these are the one that you can use for this one. So you can say app error dot server error, app error dot unknown, like this. So for all these, you can just use load travel listing. So is sorry, it should be something like this. So if it's either one like this, you can use this. What's important is that if it's unauthorized, which means that this is basically a login issue, then you can just say that underscore, or you can say navigate. How are we handling the navigation here? We're not using any sort of navigation, so we need to basically create that shared flow for this. So now you can say private wall underscore navigation for this, and we define the travel listing navigation state here, like this. Okay. And let's create a file here, create wall, something like this, and we go set, say something as go to login, like this. Data, it's not going to be data object. Okay. So now that's basically my navigation that you will be using, and we get over here into this. Oh, default value should not be anything. Okay, so now over here, instead of this, you can say something as this and say travel listing navigation, right? As shared flow. So now we have this, and we have defined what we can do in case of unauthorized. You can say that basically you need to go to login for this. For unknown error or for the rest, I think let's just do this way. Else, any case, for any other case, you can just log in, right? Just get rid of all this, make it clean. So now what I did over here is that basically in case of unauthorized, I took my user to log in so that basically they can re-log in and start using the app. Currently, when the token expires, the user is basically stuck, right? So that's why we try to do something like that. Now this navigation state needs to be updated uh, in the UI screen that we have. So you can say travel listing UI state. Sorry, not this. Travel listing screen. I think this is the home listing screen that we are talking about. So it's going to be it dot message if no message, that basically shows something like this. Okay, now what we wanted to do here, we didn't created a bottom sheet for this one. Wow, too bad. So you can say modal bottom sheet, modal bottom sheet, something like this. Then you will be defined the sheet state is equals to this, and then we also define on dismiss handle that, and this error message goes inside this. Okay, failed to load state. Okay, now we have this. We just need one more thing, and that is basically to create. It's going to be launched effect true, and then you can say view model dot navigation state dot collect latest. Now we have this latest. Now based on that, let's say if is going to this, we will be using something as travel listing dot it is travel listing navigation dot go to login. If that's the case, we go to the login, but dot also backstack dot. I think we just have listing because for login it goes to listing, so we should be good. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is over here JWT config over here. You have this, you can see we have this 24 hours. So I'm just changing it to 60,000 to basically it's a 1 minute expiration, and I'll rerun this. Okay. So now once basically we do that, this means now the new token that we create will basically be just 1 minute, of time. So what we can do is we just need to relog in so that we create a new token this time. I'm gonna remove this from here, try running it once again. Okay, good. Now it's just ran. Now we'll be creating, a new token. Okay, now we'll sign in. Now basically we'll wait for 1 minute. Now you can see. Okay, now let's just try once again. Now you can see it saying that failed to load listing and something happened, an unexpected error occurred. Although it should have been uh, 401. Let's see what's wrong here. So we got listing, we got 401, which should have been unauthorized, but we are getting something else. So we need to fix that, see what's happening here. Now, over here, in case of failure, we are getting this one. Let me just add that check to this one to see what's happening here, right? Now we try once again. This is load listing, right? Okay, we got over here, and then from there, try again, got listing dot execute. Okay, something is happening with this execute functionality that we have. So it's trying the get data and this all listing. Okay, try again. Okay, let's just try once again. So this execute we got over here straight away. It says unauthorized, message unauthorized, but why did it got here? Let's see what's happening here. This get all listing, go to implementation for that. Yes, this is my, like this was the issue, which basically it should not be something like this. Instead it should be return result dot failure with dtos dot exception or null, which means something like this, and we should do same for this one as well. So this was just a change from my side, not the like it was an older implementation that was inconsistent. So that's why we basically try that. Now you can see it's saying unauthorized, and when I click retry, you will get over here. Clicking back will just close the app. Now let's say if when I try again, it's still doing this. And the problem with this implementation with this is that basically when I try read like click on this, it definitely takes me here. But one issue that happens is that um, the token is still available in the cache, so we need to clear that token as well. So over here in the view model with load with this one specifically, we need to create a use case like this for like we have a one for get auth token. We need to create one for remove auth token use case as well like this. And then this cache repository that we have, it should also have one functionality that says remove auth token, and in return we should get a boolean for this. And now we go over here to the implementation. For that we have this functionality, implement that. We'll be using remove auth token from cache data source, go to implementation for data store, something like this. And now go implementation data store, it will complain about this. Now this time we can just do something like this, basically remove it, and then we success set as true. You might also want to implement the similar approach for in memory as well. Implement the in memory result for this one as well. Now we try once in one more thing. I think in the view model, where's my view base view model, this was the one, booking list view model. I think this is the one. Now one more thing I think we all need to do, and it's not get listing view model, sorry, just travel listing view model. Yeah, over here one more thing we need to do here specifically when we get this error message and we try to emit, or like when we process that, before emitting we need to change that state dot value is equals to the error message needs to null. Okay, the reason is that so that it should be UI state. Okay, now once again when we try this time, when we basically we try to navigate first, that screen will also be removed. So like when you click on that, it gets removed, and then we get over here, we click back. Now this time when I basically open the app, you will see that the app, okay, sorry, just one mistake I did. We created that use case but we didn't use it. So there is just one thing you can do is basically define that use case as a factory like this, and it should be just simple this. And now in the travel listing view model, you can add that use case wall remove auth token use case, and this time we will basically just execute that. Now hopefully when I run it, you will see, okay, yeah, it's correct. In complaining, you can just use that. Now try once again. This time I'm very hopeful. When I click on this one, the next time will not be landing on this screen. Instead we will land on the other screen. Now if I also do that, you will see that we got over here. And now when I close the app, okay, we have some crash, we'll later on look into that. Okay, what just we did? Oh my god, this was not supposed to be taking that much time, but we need to go to our cache data source. I think that's the problem. So with data store cache source, we did is that we added preferences and then we remove that. Let's just do one more thing. Let's just cache this and see what's happening here. Okay, when I click on that, we go over here into this. Oh, sorry about that. We should be using remove auth token for this, and this should also be boolean. Okay, now one last time, let's just try once again. Hopefully this time it will work. Try, retry. We get here, go back. This time when I click on this, it takes me to the login scene because the authentication token is now removed, and that's basically what we wanted. Now we have this whole structure ready, like all the dialogues and all that. What you can do is that you can just add it to the UI screen for the other screens. For example, for the details, if it's failing, you can just add that error message section. Where is that error message section? We should have a error message. Yeah, this is the error message section that you can use to basically properly show a dialogue to the user. Same goes for checkout, same goes for booking and all. So you can like implement all that, and that is basically one part of the app. Now basically, sorry about that, we basically created these things. Now the next step is basically that we would want some formatting for our code, like over here. If I get over here, okay, so now let's say if I the next step is basically if I go for customer one, go for password 123, go to sign in. Why am I getting an unauthorized for listing every single time? Okay, I think I think there is just one issue. One more thing we missed, that is we go to remote data source, and if we go to listing, get all listing, we are not passing the header into this. We need to add that. So let's just try this one. This time it will work. Okay. Okay, so basically, there's just one thing, one problem with this whole stuff that we did, and that is basically this cache data source now giving us, result as giving it a result as this. So just that was a mistake. I think we can just get rid of that and make sure the where are we using? We should be using it somewhere else as well. Authorization, cache repository implementation. Yeah, this one. So basically for this, you can just return result dot success as this. Okay. And this get auth token is always basically giving us a string. So we are good. I think hopefully we are good. I'm not sure, but let's say get auth token. Now we just need this like this. Okay. Now we are good. Basically, there was just one problem with this get or token. It should not be this. It should be this. It was returning a result to us, so that was causing this to not load. And now what was I was talking is that we have unauthorized. Why is it unauthorized? Okay, I know why it's saying we need to make sure that we go to remote data source, and inside this get listing by id we also need to add this header. We were not adding that header, so that's why it's basically now throwing errors for us, since we are basically now handling this to this. Okay, now if I go over here, you can see I get something like this. And now in this, the problem is this payment getting as 59999, and when I click on this format for the date, it's just hard coded. We want to change that, and along with that, you can see these basically currency formatting is not good as we would like to. So so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change all these things. We basically be creating some sort of a format util that we will be using both on Android and iOS side. We will basically will pass the value to this, and a proper formatter along with. So how do we do that? We basically go over here into the common main section, and inside the Kotlin, we don't have a util class, so you can just create a package, call it utils. Okay. And now inside that, you can create a Kotlin class and call that an object. And what should we call? We should call formatting utils, right? Now we have something like this, but we are gonna say expect. And along with expectations, we should also say format date. And also you can say function format currency. You should also pass the currency as well. Something like this. Okay. So now once we have something like this, what you can do is that you can just create the actual. So now first thing first, we'll be doing it for Android main. Okay. Once we do that for Android main, you get something like this. And now what you can do is that you can say wall input format is going to be something like this. I don't think it's going to be something like this. So for that, we need the proper format that we receive. So if I go to my Android Studio logcat, I most probably will have the date and time format like this. You can see we have something like this. So we need to have that format for us. Okay. Now over here, you have this YYYY dash MM dash DD dash T, and then we have HH. It's going to be bigger since it's month. Then we have HH SSZ. I think that's the format we have. Okay. And the output format could be something like this, and we will be basically be returning some stuff based on that. So now what we do is that basically we pass some date into this, right? And then this is our input formatter. Then the output formatter is going to be something like this. You can change it to whatever, or maybe you can, like, if you want, you can pass some values to this. And then based on that, it will basically, what it do is that will first pass it to a date, and then after that it will convert it for you to a proper string. So that's something we will be doing with this one. In case of formatting, we will be using not this. Instead, I'm going to say wall currency format. Okay, and then you will be defining that currency for that, and then return that formatting. Okay, so now this formatting util will be used for Android. At least we'll start using it for Android, and that's start to be used for booking list screens. Now over here you can say, I guess we have price or maybe date. Yeah. So now we have this splitting of all these things. Instead, now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use formatting utils dot format date, and then we will be using booking dot trip date dot start date. Okay, perfect. Okay, and for this one we will be using for end date as well. So that's that. Do we use anywhere else date? So I think this is done. This is my booking list screen. Then you will be using booking or maybe details screen. Yeah, this is detail screen. So it will have a price that we are basically using right now in this format. Now we will be using formatting util dot format currency, and then from there you can use item dot price, item dot currency as USD for this. Do we have any other section where using price? No, but we have date. Not using date. Okay, then we have a booking or maybe checkout screen. Checkout screen over here. We're also using price for all these values. Like you can see, we are not gonna use this. Instead, what you can do is that you can use format util dot format currency. Then you have it dot subtotal comma it dot currency, all coming from server, right? Same goes for taxes. Formatting util dot format currency it dot taxes comma it dot currency, and instead I'm gonna copy this, use it for all these two. That is going to be service fee and that is going to be total. Okay, do we have any other price, something like that? Price raw, fine, that's good. What else? We have date. For date we are using this splitting and all. We don't need that. Instead you can just pass that trip date dot start date into this. Same goes for this one. For end date, do we have any other dates we're using? Okay, or maybe you can use split to find if we're anywhere we are using split. I think these are the cases where we are using all this, and all I try to run for Android to see if all these issues are fixed now. Okay, we get over here. We don't have anything here. Okay, it's crashing. Okay, so we have some issues. Let's see what is that. It says illegal pattern T. Illegal pattern T. We are having this T inside this. Let me see what would be the standard format for that. We were missing these inside this. Like it should be something as this. Okay. Now try once again. Hopefully this time it should be not causing any problem. I think I know the problem is this. Now it should not problem cause. Yeah, now you can see we have proper readable dates over here. When clicking on that, we have, proper formatted currency, and also in the like in the listing section we should also see. So now if I go over here, make the payment, go to the details screen, sorry, listing of booking listing, you can also see that we now have proper, formatting for this. So basically this formatting is basically done for Android. Now we need to do the same formatting for iOS. Okay. So we get over here. Now inside that we go create actual, and then we go for iOS main. Now for iOS main, we need the same formatter. So I'm going to say you can say wall for input formatter format, as this. So we have this input format, output format is something like that. And now we have this. You can say wall data formatter is equals to ns date for data formatter, and then you have this input formatter, and then you just what we do is that we form that set the input format for that, then we parse, and then we update the format to the output format, and then we basically format that. So that way we basically get the format for iOS, and then this time we basically be using the currency style formatter for this case. So what we do is that we get that currency, and then we pass that string from number. Okay. So now what we did over here is that we basically created this ns number formatter. We defined that we want a currency style, and then we passed the currency code that we got, and then we just formatted the number that we got. And now let's just try running it on an iOS device. This time hopefully it worked for iOS. Okay, now it got installed. We got unauthorized, which is like I wanted. So I'm going to say customer one at travnor.com. Password is PASWRD123. Sign in. We got here. Fine. We get over here. The currency should looks good. The formatting is looking good. The currency is now looking good, and the final result should also look good. So basically, it's working for iOS now. Okay. So now we need to do is that basically we need to create our implementation for JS. So now inside that, what I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna say return, and we need to return a JS function, right? So we will be using this JS implementation for the format, and now we'll be doing pretty similar to what we did. It's just the JS code, nothing fancy. We just create a same formatter, and basically we do all these things, and then basically process that. Okay, and then we should be good. What's reachable code? And now the next step would be to also return the formatter for JS, for currency. And this is just a number format. We define the style, we define the currency, and when we define the amount. So I think we are good. And now let's just try running it, see if it actually work for web as well. So we go over here to awesome.js. Okay, so we need to return that the string only. Okay, try once again. What's happening here? Come on, return it. Okay, it says. Okay, so I think we can do it's there's basically some problem with this. So instead, what you can do, like we did last time, we will be creating JS function, and then you can define what you need. Date, something like this. And now over here, you can just create this function for this case. And this is an experimental, so we can do the same again for currency as well. This time we basically passed a double in currency, and instead of using this, you can just use call format date and pass that JS format date, not this. Call it JS format date, and in this case, you can say JS format currency and then pass amount and currency to this. So basically, it's just similar thing. We just basically use JS func instead of the other one, because there was some problem with this with using JS inside that. So now hopefully the web implementation should also work. We'll see. Okay, so we are here. It's saying unauthorized, which is fine. Customer one at travnor.com. Password 123. We go for sign in. We get here. We have bookings. Now you can see the date is formatted as we wanted. Same goes for the currency. It's basically not expanding and all. Processing to payment. It's working as before. Pay now works perfectly fine. Dates are also formatted. So like you can see, both Android, iOS, everyone has a proper formatting. It has proper, the UI looks much better than previously, where basically we had so many zeros and all. So I think that was it for this video. What we did is that we did most of the cleanup and all in this. There will still be getting back to for one or two videos on this, when we basically implement some proper the destination wise implementation is pending. So we'll do that, but that will be done once we basically are done with the vendor side implementation. I hope to see you then. Till then, happy coding. Bye bye. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icons so you don't forget any update. If you got any question, you can join my Discord server. The link is in the description. Also, for quick updates and tips, you can follow me on Instagram. Until next time, keep learning, keep developing. Bye.